So this is a quick demonstration of the screw that I built. I followed the directions that are right in the manual in your kit. The only thing that I did differently is I added this extension arm right here. And the reason that I put this on here is so that I could mount the spring scale like this so that I can measure the resistance force. So the way this screw works, it's actually kind of like a little model vise. As you turn this handle, and this is essentially, well, not essentially, this is the effort. You can see as I'm turning that, it's opening up those jaws. And the way I have the spring scale mounted, it is compressing that spring scale. And the way I'm going to use this to measure forces, I'm going to actually need to use two spring scales. So you can see that as I'm opening up these jaws, it's stretching out this spring scale and it's measuring a force. While I'm doing that, I'm going to put my second spring scale on this effort arm and measure that. And then for my distances, wherever I hook that effort spring onto right here, I'm going to measure from that point to this pivot or the center of this wheel that I'm creating when I'm turning this. And that circumference is going to be my effort distance. The resistance distance, if you can see down in there, is actually the pitch of the screw. So the screw, if you can see my finger right there, from one peak to the next is the pitch of the screw. So we have to measure that distance right there. And that is the resistance distance. And then we compare that to the circumference that we will be able to measure by rotating this arm one full turn. Once you've taken all your distance measurements, then you're ready to measure your forces. So in order to do that, you want to first open up your screw so that you are starting to actually put some force onto this resistance spring right here. And I would open it up a decent way, but not so far that you're right at the edge of what the spring can measure. And for that matter, you want to make sure that you don't open the screw up too far that you're going to be off of the threads. So I'm at a pretty good spot right here. I'm going to take my second spring scale and I'm going to use this to measure my effort force. You want to make sure that you hook that effort spring on to your handle wherever you measured your effort distance from. So I measured from the center of this handle right out to the inside edge of this gear right here. So I'm hooking my spring scale right on the inside edge of the gear and I'm going to start pulling. And I'm trying to hold this at as close to a 90-degree angle as I can. And I want to measure what my force is that it takes me to move this. And I'll compare the number that I get on here to the number that I'm measuring up here at my resistance scale. I'm not going to tell you those numbers because, well, I want you to get your own.